Hello fellow Dicers. Today I'm going to be taking a look at my first gameplay comparison between PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 5 Pro. I was lucky enough to get a PlayStation 5 Pro as soon as they were announced. Unfortunately, I was away on business when it got delivered, so this is the first opportunity I've really had to produce a video. I've also got a couple scheduled, but I might jump some of those to get this put out there. So I'm having a look at the various different aspects of the two games. It's one game but two different consoles, so I should clarify that. Now, I'm not going to do too much detail on this because looking at the minute detail between the two games isn't really going to help the average consumer, because most people don't look at games pixel by pixel. They look at games by how it plays, how it feels, and the initial impact. So the opening scene of this video, before I started talking or while I was doing my intro, was a comparison of looking in a puddle. That seems like a very odd thing to talk about, but the main difference between the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 5 Pro is on the PS5 Pro, it automatically puts it in ray tracing mode. So you actually get a much better visual on the face of it. And I want to say on the face of it because in general you're probably not going to see too much of a difference. You can see on screen at the moment the side by side. So on the left hand side, as it indicates, the PlayStation 5 version, and on the right hand side the PlayStation 5 Pro version. There's not that much difference. Bearing in mind this is an isometric game, so your character is quite small on the screen, as are most of the objects. So you're not going to see too much of a difference between the two. Fluidity wise, they're both running at about 60 frames per second. I do not have technology to tell me whether it's 100% 60 frames per second or whatever else, but it appears to me to be about the same sort of value. Now, you're not going to see a massive difference between the two, and some may say that that is disappointing, and in some respects I suppose you could say it is. But I personally think that Diablo is a brilliant looking game regardless, so I don't think the fact that it doesn't look a million times better is anything to say that the PS5 Pro isn't doing a good job, because there's not that much more it could do, in fairness. The fact that you do have ray tracing as standard is quite important and quite impressive. And again, it depends on how they implement it. It appears to be ray tracing is for shadows and reflections and nothing else, because the lightning bolts do seem to illuminate the walls on both of these. So it appears to be a post-process effect rather than a kind of ray traced. I don't even know the word. Basically, it's not due to ray tracing. The actual screen effect of flashing on the building walls, etc., is all down to the fact that they've programmed that rather than it's doing it live, I believe is what I'm trying to say. They did show that off during the original release trailer for Diablo 4, where you had a fireball and you could see the lighting effects hit the wall. I don't believe that was ray traced, it was just the way they'd actually animated it. So that's potentially what they've basically done. It does work, it works really well, but the fact that you now have ray traced puddles, so your reflections in puddles, the shadows as well, does for me give a much better feel. Now, this is probably not the best game to do a comparison of this nature on, because it is very fast paced, there's a lot going on the screen, and there's nothing you can really focus on to see that big of a difference. I still honestly feel that I wanted to do this game first because it is visually impressive already, and it does highlight that if you've got a visually impressive game, sometimes you don't need to improve it much. And I would say that this is one of those situations. That being said, I do think that when you do get loading screens where your character is shown on the screen, I do think the PS5 Pro version is slightly better. I don't know, it just seems to pop out the screen more. I think the dust and the actual mist and everything is clearer in the PS5 Pro. But again, because of the sort of small screen, or the small character on the screen, it's not as evident as it could be. I will be doing more comparisons, something like Horizon Forbidden West, for example. I might do one on that where it should be a little clearer. I might even do one on Gran Turismo, although, to be honest, that's not the type of game that I would normally put on this channel, which is more the RPG style games. Or ones based on a tabletop or dice rolling game such as Warhammer 40k. That's how I get away with posting Space Marine, but there we go. So, what do I personally think so far? Now, I've played a couple of games. I don't believe any of them are overly enhanced. I know Diablo 4 lists it as being enhanced, and the fact that it does go on a fully ray traced 60 frames per second mode as standard, I think that's quite good. Unfortunately, the update they did to Diablo did not remove the option to do enhanced visuals, and when you put enhanced visuals on the PS5 Pro, it still reduces the frame rate to 30 frames per second, but that's coded into the game rather than a system fault. So what it does is it basically increases all of your dust, etc. effects, and your mist and fog, but it does cap your frame rate at 30, so it's not very good. I don't know why they've left that mode in there. It does improve the mist and everything still, so you do get better fog effects, but the fact that it still reduces it to 30 frames per second for me is just a little bit stupid. What they should probably do is it should auto detect it's a pro, and then it should allow you to turn that mode on but keep the 60 frames per second. I think that's the reality of the situation. But in general, I actually think it does a relatively good job. It still plays really smoothly. It does have the ray tracing enabled as standard. I do think that, as I say, when you get the loading screens and your character is shown on the screen, I do think it looks better. And I don't know, I think the actual colour saturation and just the effect within these crypts is much better. I'm kind of glad that on screen at the moment you can see a very similar screen, a very similar environment, because you can see that there is more of a misty effect on the Pro version. Well, I'm going to leave it there. If you've enjoyed the video, please make sure you click the like button, subscribe if you are new to the channel, and I do look forward to seeing you for my next video very soon. You all take care. Bye for now.